Good morning. I'm now going to call the October 23rd, 2024 San Diego County Board of Supervisors Land Use Session to order. Turn it over to Ryan for a roll call.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. And just noting for the record, Supervisor Anderson is absent today. With that noted, Supervisor Montgomery Stepp, Supervisor Desmond.
Here.
Vice Chair Lawson-Remer. Here. And Chairwoman Vargas.
Vargas here. All right, well, we continue closed session from yesterday's meeting after the continuation of the non-agenda public comment at the end of this meeting. We'll now proceed with non-agenda public communication. I'll turn it over to Ryan.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. Non-agenda public communication is an opportunity for the public to address the board on subject matters within the board's jurisdiction, but not an item on today's agenda. The only action the board may take is a referral to the Chief Administrative Officer. According to the board's rules of procedure, public speakers that are non-English speaking and need interpretation assistance will get twice the allotted time for their comments. The rule also states that audience members shall not whistle, clap, stomp feet, or anything that disrupts the proceedings. With that noted, we have 34 total requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda. 6 individuals in person and 20 requesting to speak by phone. For those that have requested to speak via phone, if you could please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll go ahead and begin with the in-person speakers. In accordance with the board's rules of procedures, we'll hear from the first 5 speakers in person. All the remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session. As your name is called, if you could please come forward and stand on the arrows until it is your turn to speak at the podium. You'll then have 2 minutes to address the board, and if you could please begin by stating your name for the audio record. I'd like to invite forward the first 3 individuals, Michael Brando, Zora Fahim, and Cesar Javier.
Michael, for the record, Nora arrived at 9:07 and she's already up out of her seat, not on the dais, not listening to speakers. Monica arrived at 9:08. This almost looks like this is contagious, like you're catching something from Tara over there. But Tara, you've been on time the last 2 days. Good for you. All right, now I'd like to mention something that's going on in the county of Orange. You may have heard about this. If you go to YouTube, go to Peggy Hall, The Healthy American, Jim, you'll get to see all about Andrew Doe. Andrew Doe was the chair of the County Board of Supervisors in Orange, and he's in hot water. And it seems like that's almost contagious and spreading too, as far as what goes on with these boards. All right, yesterday someone sent me this interesting thing where Mandy Cohen of the CDC, the new CDC director, she's acting like this is still 2021, Davia. She's saying, got my COVID shot. Vaccines are the best way to prevent serious illness and long COVID. Have you gotten yours? Wow, isn't that amazing? The CDC promoting this absolute diabolical nonsense. Why do I mention that here? Well, we know what happened here in 2021 when many of you were threatening people in the local area, especially Nathan Fletcher and Tara Lawson-Remer. You too, Nora, because you were taking pictures of people mocking them here. I mention this because the CDC is now doing work in the South Bay. Truth refers to a lot of the actions that go on as data-driven deception. The CDC is being promoted as something that's doing good. There's something else going on in the South Bay, a long con, C-O-N plan. We are aware of it.
Thank you.
Hi, Hi, my name is Zora Fahim, President and founder of Los Angeles Alliance for Animals. Supervisor Tara Larson-Remer, I wanted to inform you that today I'm submitting a complaint to the Attorney General's office that you are not ensuring animal welfare's laws are being enforced in your district. Moreover, I've submitted a complaint to the Veterinarian Medical Board that Deborah Barkley, veterinarian, has failed in reporting to the county the actual underlying cause of death for the emaciated horse in March 2023, and her failure as a legal observer to report neglect and abuse on Artesian Road. Thank you, Supervisor Jim Desmond, for speaking up for those who do not have a voice. We are very grateful for your leadership. Supervisors, we need you to look deeper into the upper management patrol animal care staff. Currently, the department has a brand new director and an assistant director who has no prior experience in animal law and sheltering, one active lieutenant managing both shelters with 2 others on leave, and 2 newly hired lieutenants that stepped down within the last first week due to lack of experience and training they will be provided. There should be 4 filled positions to oversee patrol staff. Supervisors, why is DAS not training their entire patrol staff? The department is also lacking management in animal care with what is supposed to be 2 supervisors at each shelter. DAS is running with just 1 supervisor animal care attendant for both Carlsbad and Bonita. With this past year, 6 animal control officers were hired, only 1 remains. You cannot possibly expect a law enforcement agency whom is responsible for not only the sheltering of animals, but the protection of animals and people in this county to actually run appropriately in this manner. This is unacceptable. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Call for the remaining speakers, Purieta Javier and Robert Gurman.
Good morning. I'm Purita Javier. Land use and housing, home-based business or home occupation. Ceramics manufacturing and kiln operations has been operating since 1984, generating, emitting, producing toxicity in the residential zone dedicated neighborhood. I have been in the neighborhood since 1997 and potentially threatened and impacted by toxicity proximate to the industrial business. My primary care physician of Sharp Hospital, including my husband at KP Hospital, has been monitoring our health and wellness since I am fearful of our exposure and consequence. It may lead respiratory problems, worst, lung cancer. Is the ultimately death of sick, old, and neighbors with existing medical condition since 1984 call incidental emission of toxic gases is a form of physical assault or attack, it being potentially harmful to respiratory, even cardiovascular system, and yet the police cannot stop it.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Cesar Javier, a victim too of toxicity. We asked the police, we asked the hazards specialist, we asked the Air Pollution Control District Compliance Division. They did nothing because they have learned and from the feedback of the owner that they have this business tax permit. I applied this citizen's arrest, non-violent approach, but the result was I was perceived as a violent person. And I was ordered by the court temporary restraining order. I did my duty to my family to stop this toxicity. I asked the city, I asked you, I asked the Air Pollution Control District. They need proof that kiln ceramics industrial activity, proof that it has or been producing toxicity. Why can't you do some assistance to stop this? This is all about SECA, Environmental Act. A decent home, a long-term protection of humans from the impact of all this crisis, man-made especially. This is also about the Proposition 65, where the owner or the business operator should inform the neighborhood of these hazards. This is also a violation of land use and planning laws. And yet the land use crafters, your staff, says.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll hear from our next speaker.
We're having an experiment here. Per the clerks. Okay. Oh. Got it. Okay, here we go. We're going to try this. Gillespie has private $1 million hangar homes, private $1 million airplanes, private custom golf carts, private air shows during private parties, airport trucks displaying Trump flags on the airport inside the fence. Gillespie Field Airport is mega country. The next slides, I'm multitasking here. The 4 CEQA slides show a CEQA exemption for a meet and greet. The next, the next slide shows the meet and greet. These are the documents. They don't go away, and I slide them correctly. No charge, by the way, which I think is common for everything the airport does. Free food at a luxurious, spacious hangar at Gillespie. I wasn't invited, and Supervisor Anderson isn't here today to comment, let alone he's definitely not late, he's simply not here. Gillespie Field Airport is a public use airport and the largest airport of the county. The administration offices are located at Gillespie Field, and one of the poorest cities in the county is El Cajon. Gillespie's trickle-down, self-dealing economic engine hasn't worked for citizens at East County and never will. Gillespie works for a few, and those few sit on the Gillespie Field Development Council to preserve the airport and their profit. I would recommend instructing the GDFC Council to make public in real time their meetings. The public, which would include pilots, also would be witness to what is being said and what is actually happening at Gillespie. And with that, I took these pictures. That's an airport truck. I wonder how long this would last at Lindbergh, having a airport truck drive around with the Trump flag. Thank you.
Thank you. Your time is up. We will now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. Again, in accordance with the board's rules, we will be hearing from the first 5 callers. The remaining callers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted. You'll hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. Again, I'd like to remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll go ahead and begin with our first caller. First caller is Michelle. You may need to unmute your phone. We'll come back to you.
My name is Annie for the Artesian Road Horses.
Please proceed with your comments.
Hi, yes, good morning. First of all, I'd love to say, dear Supervisor Jim Desmond, thank you so much for caring to make a statement about the artesian horses dying because of the failure of the animal control people who let this horse suffer for 3 long days. This is unacceptable. This is a crime in itself. And this is not the first time. The other horses that have died, one had to suffer more than 2 hours. This is a common occurrence on this property on the Artesian Road. It's a very big nightmare. The person, Deborah, is just a criminal who does not care about these animals at all. So the city council member Lee has also offered the ban on rodeo. I can totally see you, Supervisor Jim Desmond, that you would be a person as such who would take actions as such because you already did. So please take further action to have the artesian horses to never get, to never have this, for this to never happen by the animal control. These people are not capable or do not care. Whichever reason, it does not matter. Please transfer this animal control situation to the Humane Society of San Diego because they will do the job. They will follow through and they will not let animals suffer and die. That these horses never ever get out of their stalls 24/7. Do you know that these poor animals are eating from their sewer?
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Good morning. My name is Michael Fujimori. I'm calling today to once again bring attention to the dire situation regarding the horrible living conditions and the lack of care of the horses and other animals at the Artesian Road property. There has been another death, this time where an emaciated horse was lying down, suffering for 3 days before dying. Animal welfare laws are not being enforced, and I'm asking Supervisor Tara Lawson-Remer to do something about it. This is in your district. The conditions these animals are enduring are totally unacceptable. It is documented that animal abuse and cruelty are a regular occurrence on Artesian Road, and these animals need to be relocated to a sanctuary before any more animals suffer and die. The animal control officers from Animal Services are not adequately investigating the animal cruelty that is running rampant. So we are asking you to please transfer their contract to San Diego Humane Society to ensure the safety of these poor suffering animals. And in closing, I'd like to thank Supervisor Desmond for speaking out against the tragic emaciated horse incident. I'm sorry I made a mistake. It didn't happen on Artesian Road, but nonetheless it happened. And also I want to thank Supervisor Lee for authoring the recent ban on the rodeo. And I want to let you guys know the treatment of animals is the #1 issue on how I and many of my colleagues vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Go to our next speaker.
Hi, good morning, Paul Bold. I wrote to you guys a month ago. The weather has been noticeably cooler for a few days. You would think that this would help get the wildfire under control, yet they burned for about a month, although temperatures got down to the upper 50s, and I'm referring to the big fires, the airport fire, the bridge fire, and the line fire. These fires should have been out a lot sooner. It is time, maybe past time, to study whether EVs and battery storage facilities are best for contributing to the fire's staying power, especially with lithium's ability to spontaneously combust multiple times. And we know EVs were involved in at least the line fire and the airport fire. Also, the biggest fire this season, the park fire. Also, the EV truck fire on August 19 in Placer County took 50,000 gallons of water to put out, about 4 times what a family of 4 uses each month. So in the water poor area, flammable EVs and battery storage do not make sense. Thanks to Jim for recognizing the need for best safety standards. Hope the measure gets reintroduced ASAP so we can control these fires before they happen and not waste resources in controlling them after. The worst thing you can do is attempt to recycle these lithium-ion batteries. As soon as they get compacted, they burst into flames. And by the way, did we get a report on Nora's taxpayer-funded business first?
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Laurie Palladino, non-agenda public comments, Artesian Road Horses. First, we'd like to thank Supervisor Jim Desmond for acknowledging that, yes, it is unacceptable for an emaciated horse to lie suffering for 3 days until it finally died. Why did the animal control officer not visit to check on the welfare of this poor horse? Please fire the animal control officer who allowed this horse to suffer for 3 days. This is the same officer who allowed an emaciated horse on Artesian Road to lie suffering near death for 2 hours, even when a veterinarian offered to euthanize this poor horse. Why are animal control officers not adequately investigating animal cruelty and going to the property to investigate? We are asking this. As management at the Department of Animal Services are not privy to animal welfare laws, please transfer this contract to San Diego Humane Society. We must ensure we are not failing these animals. Please help end the needless suffering. Thank you. We make these calls and ask these questions over and over. We have no plans to go away while these animals continue to suffer. Please take action on behalf of these animals. City Council Member Lee has authored the ban on the rodeo. We are grateful he has chosen to set the bar on animal welfare higher in the city. It's horrifying to learn the Artesian Road horses never get out of their stalls. Imagine being in an enclosure 24/7, unable to move, to walk, to at least stretch, and instead having to stand in a small enclosure. It's torturous. It's unacceptable. Worse, they will not have protection against the wind and rain in the upcoming months. Supervisor Tara Lawson-Remer, how are you allowing this to happen on your watch? Constituents do not routinely re-elect officials into their positions if they are accepting animal cruelty in their district and not putting a stop to it. Animal welfare laws are continuously broken on Artesian Road. We have asked time and again, you use your power.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll hear from our next speaker.
Consuelo, you know, it's almost as if these selected officials behave this way on purpose, as if they know they have their positions already in the bag. And it's unfortunate with all these people calling in, with all these issues, that these public officials are supposed to address and take care of. With that being said, it's just amazing how people continue to put their faith in these politicians and their empty promises. It is election season. They're going to do all they can to, you know, say what you want to hear. But in the end, shame on us for continuing to believe in the system. And another thing, as far as like it collapsing, it is going to collapse. It's going to collapse because it's going to make way for an even greater the New World Order that's coming. It's around the corner. So get ready and know that, you know, these people who are actually disposable, they're going to be used, and their positions are only temporary, and they also, you know, they're going to be hurt by their own policies that they push. So if I were you guys, on the dais, take care of what your constituents want while you can, while you still have your positions, because you guys are going. You really are, and it's just a matter of time. And it's sad that you don't see this. UN Agenda 21 is real. Look into it. Everyone in the chambers, I encourage you to look into it. It's not a joke. It's not a conspiracy theory. It is what's so. Anyways, it's not going to get any better until we all get involved. Love to you all.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning. Again, all remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the statement of proceedings minutes for the Board of Supervisors land use session of October 9, 2024. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Please vote.
And Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors who are present voting aye.
Thank you. We will now proceed with the formation of our consent calendars, items 1 through 7. All agenda items on the consent calendar are routine and will be acted upon with one motion. Public speakers will be able to comment on the consent calendar after supervisors pull the items they would like for discussion. Supervisor Montgomery Stepp, is there items that you would like to pull for discussion?
No items that I want to pull. Just a quick comment on consent item number 2. I want to thank staff of the San Diego Regional Policy and Innovation Center PIC and the San Diego Youth Services East Campus in Spring Valley and Casadero for their work on this. It's full circle when we can connect workforce development opportunities with climate action and considering the historic floods that impacted these environmental justice communities. This is an effort to help us respond and hopefully, eliminate the major response that we have to have. I just wanted to say thank you to all the parties involved, and I will move the consent agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Desmond?
No items to pull, no comments, and I'll second the motion.
Okay. Vice Chair Lawson-Remer?
No items to pull.
Okay, thank you. I have no items to pull either, so we're going to go ahead and turn it over to the public.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 7 total requests to speak on items on the consent calendar, all coming via phone. So for any individuals that have requested to speak on the items on the consent calendar by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. Just a friendly reminder, when it's your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted. You'll hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. Again, I'd like to remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. And we will go ahead and begin with our first caller.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Madison Rapp, and I'm speaking on item 7. Thank you for allowing me to address you today on a critical issue that intersects with land use and housing, which is the cultivation of marijuana and its potential impacts on our community. The humid conditions required for marijuana growth create a paradise for dangerous molds, such as aspergillus. This isn't just a public health issue, it's a land use concern as well. If mold contamination occurs, it could lead to health problems that would further discourage families from living near these facilities. The risk of contaminated products being sold poses significant public health concerns, potentially leading to increased healthcare costs and reduced quality of life for residents. Additionally, the proliferation of marijuana facilities in residential areas could lead to increased foot traffic and changes in neighborhood dynamics. We have seen evidence from other states that the presence of dispensaries can correlate with higher crime rates, which would further disrupt community safety and stability. Furthermore, without consistent and rigorous testing protocols for contaminants, we face a situation where the oversight of marijuana cultivation is inadequate. This lack of regulation can result in harmful substances being released into the community, ultimately impacting not only public health, but also the overall desirability of our neighborhoods. As we consider zoning regulations and land use plans, we must prioritize the well-being of our residents. This means creating clear guidelines that govern where marijuana cultivation can take place, ensuring it does not encroach on residential spaces or compromise the quality of life for our community members. In conclusion, I urge this commission to approach marijuana cultivation with caution. We must consider its implications for land use, housing, and the health and safety of our community. Thank you for your attention to this vital issue.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Paula Bold, stormwater demo project. ARPA money for non-COVID related issues? Not sure if that is even legal. I'm all about the big picture thinking, particularly for government. The big picture is that you would take 9.5 acres of land from the public works people in the public domain and give it to a private nonprofit foundation, the SD Regional Policy and Innovation Center. Under the tax law of Section 501c3, organization is presumed to be a private foundation unless it requests and qualifies for a ruling or determination as a public charity, which I don't believe this has. And the 9.5 acres would come from a homeless shelter. Take your pick, homeless or this experiment. And the website says the SD Regional Policy and Innovation Center is part between the San Diego leading think tank, the Brookings Institution, the research and policy analysis now help solve the region's biggest problems. So you'd think that we'd be further along with all our crises, TJ River, homeless, migrants, floods, pest fires, and so on and on and on. In fact, looking at one annual report of displays, I didn't see any real accomplishments. Then, while this is billed as some sort of innovative thing, the listed project, installation of gutters, rain barrels, rain gardens, biofiltration features, permeable pavement, a subsurface cistern.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker. That speaker dropped off. We'll go to our next speaker.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. Ann Riddle here. I came to speak to consent item number 2 regarding stormwater, sewer, and drinking water infrastructure. And of course, along the way, it also mentions broadband connectivity, which is really important to all of us out here in the backcountry. But I want to reinforce how important quality water and stormwater control is to all of us. And the item mentions ground surface permeability, and this is an item that we are gravely concerned about, is the contamination of the environment because of those things grown on the land that permeate the land surface and end up in our water supply. I'm hoping that your staff receives the California State Park press releases regarding their watershed protection programs, particularly those that come in and clean up after illegal marijuana grows. One of the most recent ones addressed the watershed in Cuyamaca Rancho State Park in Descanso. And it mentioned that when they went in, they had to remove 1,800 pounds of marijuana waste from the Sweetwater watershed that was all related to an illegal marijuana cultivation. When we have illegal marijuana cultivations in our state parks, they do extreme environmental damage, not only to the land and the watershed, but to the animals in the area and other vegetation. So I expressed my concern that although these are illegal grows, any evidence by this Board of Supervisors that you'd like to see marijuana grows out here in our backcountry just sets the stage for more of it, more illegal, let alone legal, growth of marijuana in our backcountry has no good items that are going to result from it, and only danger to all of us who care about our watersheds. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Consuelo. So what I want to say about this is, as far as like what Paul mentioned earlier, the funds, if it's even okay or legal, not that you guys care about legalities these days, it's coming from something that it's not supposed to be used for. But that's okay, because our chairwoman, her friends are the kind that, they open up dispensaries and they take COVID funds, and, that's the people she rules with. And, I just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on items on the consent calendar.
All right, seeing no comments, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
And Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors who are present voting aye.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is item number 8, sensitive review of Board of Supervisors policies and provisions of the county's regulatory code assigned to the Land Use and Environmental Group. We're going to turn it over to public comment.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We do have 8 total requests to speak, 1 individual in person and 7 requesting to speak by phone. Also like to note for the record, we did receive 1 e-comment on this item, which was in opposition. For any individual that requested to speak on this item by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speaker. I'd like to invite forward Cesar Javier. You have 2 minutes to address the board. It's item 8.
Yes, item 8. This is Cesar. Actually, I am now all-time present with the Air Pollution Control District meetings, and I got this implementing guidelines as my materials to contribute in the review of the implementing guidelines. And I am proud. And I am confident that at this level, tier of political chair, you have this challenge already of reviewing it adequately, hopefully, effectively, because this is all about air, land, and water, which includes this river, lakes, and the ocean. Now my question is, which lead agency will you be tasking this challenge of given to us by the state on how to implement this? This has been a law since 1970, and as a public participants, I would strongly and confidently say, please, we do it right. Not just because of the offshoot of this crisis in the border. It's not, but this is a long term, should be a long term, because this is all about man's survival for the rich and for the poor. And this has a parallel research on our part to address that toxicity in our community. It's all about air issue. And SICA says very clearly that this is a law to ensure that we are protected from these elements.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Thank you.
We will now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. When it's your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you'll hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. Again, I'd like to remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll go ahead and begin with our first caller.
All bold. I need to note for the record that the changes updating the name from Department of Environmental Health to Department of Environmental Health and Quality are an insult to the people of the TJ River Valley, Imperial Beach, South Bay regions, and Coronado. Also to people like Cesar and Cesar Javier, and I'm sure countless others who suffer from lousy air in the region. The name change should be withheld until applicable to the entire county. This name change needs to be withdrawn. I'd also note that it's the thing for government institutions, especially at election time, to start switching around names so things look supposedly more palatable to the public. And it's a silly game. It costs us taxpayer money. It should be stopped right away. Thanks. Hello?
Yes, are you still there, Paul? We lost you for a second. You have 30 seconds left.
Did you hear this name change business needs to be stopped because it's just wasting taxpayer money for things that don't really mean anything. And it's a disservice to the entire public. Did you hear that? Hello?
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Yeah, I heard that, and I just will repeat what Paul just said, that the name change, updating the name change from Department of Environmental Health to Department of Environmental Health and Quality are, in fact, an insult to the people of the TJ River Valley, Imperial Beach, Coronado, South Bay regions. It's unfortunate. But, yep, I agree, Paul the Bold. The name change should be withheld until applicable to the entire county. And, just more nothing. A lot of nothing. That's all I got.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on this item.
Move to.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. No further discussion. Please vote.
And Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors who are present voting aye.
All right, we will now move on to discussion 9, the Turnbull open space easement limited building zone easement vacation and addendum to previously adopted mitigated negative declaration, La Palma Sub-Regional Planning Area. Go ahead and turn it over to public comment.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 5 total requests to speak, all coming via phone. Also to note for the record, we did receive 1 e-comment on this item, which was in favor. For any individuals that have requested to speak on this item by phone, if you could please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you, and we'll go ahead and give you a moment to do so. All right, we'll go ahead and begin with our first caller. Just a friendly reminder again, when it's your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you'll hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'd like to remind the callers again, they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. Go ahead and begin with our first caller.
Yeah, Paul the Bold. If the county easements are no longer needed, as the original Palma East State project is no longer being processed, and the tentative map has expired, as the board letter says, there is no reason for the county to hold on to the easements. They also think that it is not right that the landowner has to pay $2,000 just to get his land back, which was never used. You know, I mean, the county wastes a lot of money, so $2,000 is $2,000. I mean, that's like nothing. I mean, the county can surely afford $2,000 fee for which the county is basically responsible to begin with. But that government, they pinch pennies from all of us, make us all suffer, and then they do their silly little fluff projects. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Amen, Paul. That was so good. I'm just going to repeat what you said. If the county assessments are no longer needed, as the original Palma State project is no longer being processed, and the tentative map has expired, as the board letter says, there's no reason for the county to hold on to these easements. Yeah, it's not right that the landowner has to pay $2,000 to get back his land, their land, which was never used. Just more gross government overreach, and yeah, it's got to stop. It will. It will. That's all I got.
All right, thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on this item.
Thank you. All right, is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Is there a second? Thank you. We have a motion and a second. No further discussion. Please vote.
And Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors who are present voting aye.
Thank you. We'll now resume with non-agenda public comment.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We do have 23 total requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda, 1 individual in person and 22 requesting to speak by phone. So for those that have requested to speak by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll go ahead and begin with our in-person speaker. I'd like to invite forward Dorothea Flanagan. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board, and if you could please begin your comments by stating your name for the record.
Honorable Board of Supervisors, I'm Dorothea Flanagan of North San Diego County, master's degree in educational leadership, retired many years. We're in opposition to the San Diego Fire Code requiring driveways to be 16 feet wide for one resident. What this does is makes a person out in the country have to put their house closer to a road, a main road, because they can't afford the $20 a square foot for a 1/10 of a mile driveway to get away from the rumble strip that the Public Works put in our neighborhood. Somebody made that up so people wouldn't be able to build a home unless they had a lot of money. I don't like it. I have the money to do it, but it's all wrong. My stepson says if a fireman can't drive inside of a 12-foot wide concrete reinforced driveway, then he may know how to put out fires, but he can't drive. My son drives a huge in excess of 60-foot 18-wheeler for 25 years. And he says that's twice the size of a fireman's engine. And he can back it down and drive it up, and he doesn't have any problem. We got a problem with drivers if they need something 16 feet wide. The freeway is only anywhere from 11 to 12 feet. I've gone out and measured them. He can do 65 miles an hour forwards and pretty fast backwards. What's going on here is the firemen need an education if they need something that big. CAL FIRE of the state only has 12 to 14 feet maximum.
Thank you. Your time is up. We will now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone, again in accordance with the board's rules. When it is, just a friendly reminder again, when it's your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you'll hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. Again, I'd like to remind their callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. And we'll go ahead and begin with our first caller. Our first caller is Michelle. You may need to unmute your phone.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yes.
Great. My name is Michelle, and I'm a voting district for District Number 4, Constituent District 4. Supervisor Tara Lawson-Remer, what are you doing? This is unacceptable that you continue to not hold the agencies that have failed our animal accountable. You're required to ensure that animal welfare laws are enforced in your district. You're a failure to your community. Huge shout out to Council Member Lee for authorizing the ban on rodeo in the city of San Diego. He recognizes animal cruelty. Perhaps you can follow in his footsteps, Tara, and I'm sure you're probably looking down. He has a beating heart and understands that animal cruelty has no place in modern society. So why are you allowing it to happen in your district? Your complacency in animal cruelty is allowing for the artesian horses to be neglected on your watch. 3 horses now in 1 year. These horses are going to be eating moldy hay with no adequate protection against elements, which are both detrimental under the care and well-being of horses. Let's count how many more horses will die on your watch, suffering under Tara's watch. I honestly can't comprehend how you can sleep at night. You're disgusting. Your actions are shameful, and you're unstable to maintain in office. Please resign immediately. And I want this on record, Tara. We have been complaining and talking to you for the past year, and you have done nothing to help us. I want you to resign. You're despicable. I can't even put the words down how it wouldn't even be allowed on the speaker. But you do not belong on the board. Remove yourself from the seat and have somebody else come in that will care about animals.
Thank you. Your time is up. We will go to our next speaker.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors, Chair Nora Vargas. My name is Terry Ann Skelly. I'm a parent of 3 young adult sons, county planning group attendee, and community volunteer in youth programs, especially mentoring programs at our schools. Many parents are concerned about the mental health challenges of young adults, especially high school students, with whom I work in mentoring programs. So parents, educators, and youth advocates recognize the need for more mental health facilities and more youth drug-related programs around our county now. This is of the utmost necessity since 90% of all drug use begins before the age of 20, dramatically affecting mental health. Recently, the Board of Supervisors looked at the influence of social media on mental health. It's important to understand that there is heavy marijuana advertising from our county storefronts on social media. In the past, I've described my grave concern regarding highly concentrated THC marijuana products that are manufactured, sold, and promoted extensively on San Diego County marijuana storefront social media. Add to this the actual presence of marijuana storefronts and deliveries. This social media marketing normalizes marijuana use to teens and young adults as some sort of means to avoid stress and anxiety. Definitely a priority for this Board of Supervisors should be to diminish the footprint of marijuana in our county now to improve our youth mental health. Thank you for hearing my concerns this morning.
Thank you. Go to our next speaker.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Megan Stewart, and in my experience in social work, I have seen firsthand the effects that drugs like marijuana can have on its user. Conditions such as cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, or CHS, are only becoming more prevalent. As you know, the association between marijuana and mental health disorders, particularly psychosis, has become a focal point. Studies show that frequent use of high-potency marijuana can increase the risk of developing psychotic disorders like schizophrenia, especially among adolescents. For example, one study found that regular users of marijuana with over 10% THC were 5 times more likely to develop psychotic disorders compared to non-users. The stories of those affected are stark. Mecca Irby, who began using marijuana at 15, experienced severe CHS symptoms at 18, requiring multiple hospital visits before she was even diagnosed. Kevin Doohan, who had lived with CHS for a decade, eventually died after enduring the syndrome's repeated bouts of illness. Other users, like Navy veteran Javante Hill, experienced psychotic episodes severe enough to result in violent incidents, such as Hill's accidental shooting of his girlfriend during a hallucination. The risks of marijuana are increasingly evident. Addiction, psychosis, and physical ailments like CHS are all part of the darker side of the marijuana industry, one that has been largely under-acknowledged by both the public and the industry itself. Despite commercialization in our county, the need for better public education on the risks of marijuana use, especially among young people, is more urgent than ever. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Hello, Supervisors. My name is Kara, and I am calling in to voice my absolute disgust with what is occurring for the animals at Artesian Road and overall in San Diego County. I am angry and disappointed in the Department of Animal Services and their officers, and also in you, Tara, loss of reason reamer. Can you look up for once? Do these officers need more training? Do they not understand what their job is? Do they not know what true suffering looks like? On a side note, Jim Desmond, I'd like to thank you for what you said yesterday regarding the death of the Valley View horse. Now please make sure that you put those words into action and demand a proper necropsy to determine the cause of death, even though it appears that it was starvation. Please make sure that the officer that allowed the horse to lay suffering for 3 days is finally fired. This is the same officer that allowed the horse at Artesian Road to vanquish in the mud for hours, even though a veterinarian offered to euthanize. This officer is either stupid, willfully negligent, or a sicko that gets off on the torture and abuse of animals. Tara, the horses at Artesian Road are locked in their dirty stalls 24/7. They're eating old, moldy hay that has been contaminated by their own feces. Why are you allowing this? Now that we know that your votes can be bought and traded for, a federal offense, by the way, that you can and will be locked away for, I think the county needs to investigate what you are receiving in return for sweeping all of this abuse under the rug. To the supervisors that do care, please use your power to ensure the dogs and horses are removed and sent to sanctuary, and a criminal case is sent to DA Summer Steffen on Deborah Barkley and Craig Netwig. Do your jobs.
Thank you. We will go to our next speaker.
Carrie Honowitz.
You can
Can you hear me?
Yes, you can proceed with your comments, please.
Perfect. Hello, my name is Carrie Honowitz, and I'm calling on behalf of the horses on Artesian Road. The animal welfare laws continue to break on Artesian Road. Please use your power to ensure the horses and dogs are removed to be sent to a sanctuary, and a criminal case sent to District Attorney Summer Steffen on Deborah Barkley. Why is animal control officers not adequately investigating animal cruelty, such as going to Artesian property to investigate? Please transfer this case to San Diego Humane Society to ensure the safety of those animals. The Artesian Road horses never get out of their stalls. Imagine being in an enclosure 24/7. That wouldn't be allowed for people, but they allow it for the horses. Did you know that the animals are eating off their manure, and now in coming months they will not have any protection against the wind and the rain? Why are you allowing this, Supervisor Tara Lawson-Remer? I believe I voted for you in the last election, but as things stand right now, I'm not going to vote for people that don't care about animal welfare laws. Constituents don't reelect officials into office if you're accepting animal cruelty in your district. Horses are dropping dead, and no one seems to care. Thank you, Supervisor Jim Desmond, for mentioning that it's unacceptable for an emaciated horse to lay for 3 days with no help and end up dying because that's animal control.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Becky Rapp, and I'd like to bring to your attention that President Biden recently released a proclamation announcing that October is National Youth Substance Use Prevention Month. I quote, "America's young people are the future of our nation. Each of them deserves the opportunity to thrive and reach their full potential. The National Youth Substance Use Prevention Month, we recommit to providing all youth with the resources and support they need to lead healthy lives." His goal is to engage youth as partners in developing and strengthening community strategies for youth to better educate and support their peers. In connection with this proclamation, drug-free community support programs are being implemented. I would suggest to this board to actively support this proclamation by inviting professionals working with teens in our county who are on the front lines, helping teens seek drug treatment. Dr. Natalie Lobb is a pediatrician at Rady Children's Hospital who knows and understands the dangers that drug abuse can have on children and teens. She understands the significant consequences as mental health challenges are intensified. And
Hi, Nessie Casanova. What's going on with all of the horses in San Diego County? We've been talking about the animal welfare of these horses for almost a year now, and nothing is being done about the horses on Artesian Road. They don't ever leave their stalls. This is cruel. You can't lock a person up in a single room for their entire lives, and that's basically what's happening to these horses, who are sentient, living, breathing, emotional, social, intelligent beings capable of suffering and feeling pain. And the fact that nothing is being done about them is just disgusting at this point. Like, we have animal cruelty laws for a reason. What is going on, Supervisor Tara Lawson, Reamer? Are you trying to just lose your reelection? What, do you not understand that when you don't actually enforce these laws that we put in place to protect animals, that people are not going to vote for you? The horses they're dropping dead. The animal control officer is just not the one that everybody has been mentioning, is not doing their job. They need to be fired. This is not that difficult. This should have been handled by now. It is frustrating to see something that is actually so simple for y'all to address and to have it resolved still go unanswered. Please. Thank you also to Councilmember Lee for the rodeo ban. That also LA is doing it. We have rodeo bans going everywhere. It is a great measure to take care of animals. So be consistent, y'all, and please take care of these horses. And completely side note, to hear these people refer to cannabis as marijuana tells you everything you need to know. They don't know what they're talking about. Please don't listen to these conservative religious. Just look at actual science and not people who use racist terms like marijuana.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Carrie, and non-agenda land use.
You can proceed with your comments.
Hi, my name is Carrie. I'm a realtor here to speak on land use, specifically regarding the Bonsall Community Park project and funds that were reappropriated from this project in order to fund a project gap for a current project. CPR has a final plan for Bonsall Community Park accommodating every user group but equestrians. It does not include equestrian staging area, hitching posts, or water for horses as per the original plan. This is a 63-acre park that will essentially be the hub for recreation in North County. Eliminating these three areas, staging areas, which are a vital piece to the Bonsall Community Park, will impact valuable horse property and real estate throughout North County, specifically related to Fallbrook, Bonsall, and Escondido and Vista. North County offers a unique experience for San Diegans that the rest of San Diego does not provide. Equestrians know that these are amenities for their lifestyle here, That is why they seek to purchase equestrian property specifically in North County. Equestrians could contribute to our economy in a variety and countless ways that both contribute to and give back to our surrounding communities. This trail system, once properly connected with safe parking, will provide more tourism, visitors, and equestrian families. We must connect this 18-mile trail system the right way and not separate them. Our request to the board today, please look at the entire San Luis Rey trail system to include the vital staging areas at Bonsall Community Park. This is essential in order to provide a safe trail system and staging area for riders to properly exercise their horses and enjoy all of the beauty that vast North County has to offer. This should be a top priority for each of the board members. Specific thanks to Jim Desmond.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Hello, my name is Madison. As a mother of 3 and a public health advocate, I am here to discuss reducing infant mortality and educate women about the impact of their choices on their children's health. One significant area of concern is the use of cannabis during pregnancy, which has become increasingly prevalent. Cannabis is the second most common psychoactive substance used by pregnant individuals following alcohol. Research indicates that elements of cannabis can pass through the placenta and impact fetal development. Frequent cannabis use during pregnancy is linked to low birth weight and other adverse birth outcomes. These outcomes are particularly concerning for our most vulnerable populations, teens, Black women, and women of color, who are disproportionately affected by both preterm birth and infant mortality. Additionally, cannabis compounds can enter breast milk, which further complicates the health outcomes for infants. To address these challenges, we must ensure that healthcare providers have access to comprehensive information about the effects of cannabis use during pregnancy. This knowledge is crucial for advising patients, enabling informed discussions, and helping families make healthier choices. By doing so, we can enhance the health and well-being of our residents and reduce disparities in infant mortality. Thank you for your attention and commitment to this issue. Together, we can create a healthier, more equitable San Diego for all families.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and go to our next speaker.
Elizabeth Porcheda.
You can proceed with your comments.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Elizabeth Porcheda. I would like to thank Supervisor Jim Desmond for helping animals. It is unfortunate that animal welfare laws all over the world are not strong enough to give animals the protections and the rights that they deserve, and the fact that animal welfare is not a priority to some as it is to others like myself. I would like to remind the board and everyone listening that if we all could say one thing to ourselves to remind every one of us that animals rely on us to use our voices and resources to help them when they are in need. They cannot speak for themselves. Imagine if you could not speak and you were in need of help, you would expect someone, anyone, to do that for you, to help you. I ask you today to please do more for the animals that are being abused at Artisan Road. How many animals need to die before action is taken and something is done about the animals who are starving, suffering, and dying? How many Board of Supervisors meetings and speeches do we need to attend and speak on their behalf before action is taken? Why was a horse left to die in agony for 3 days while nothing was done to help the animal, even though your animal control officer was informed? Who is this officer, and why did this officer not do his job to help this animal who eventually died? This is unacceptable, and it must stop now. The animals must be removed and go to sanctuaries. If you are unable to save and help these animals, please transfer this contract to the San Diego Humane Society. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Good morning. My name is Stephanie Baxter. I am the Vice Chair of the Fallbrook Community Planning Group. And this week, they unanimously voted to support the protection of our local equestrian community and their needs to safely continue
using the San Luis Rey Regional River Park Trail Network. Fallbrook and Bonsal's heritage is largely equestrian, with local rider groups dating back to the 1940s. The equestrians are the primary group that have maintained and improved this historical 18-mile trail system for decades, keeping the trails open to the public on a weekly basis. They have fostered relationships with Bonsall Elementary, Bonsall Community Church, and local businesses to park their rigs and enjoy a trail ride. If it weren't for them, this network of trails could have been lost. The community as a whole is shocked with the Bonsall Community Park plan that is currently out to bid that excludes equestrian parking and staging amenities, which will essentially block connectivity of the whole system. Community outreach largely took place during the lockdowns of COVID and only extended 1.5 miles from the park site. Equestrians were not an included recreation focus group during outreach for Bonsall Community Park, but youth sports programs, local HOAs, and Bonsall Elementary School were contacted. But Vista Palomar Riders, Fallbrook Trails Council, and Backcountry Horsemen were not. Going forward, park public surveys should absolutely include equestrians as a user group. The decisions made regarding the equestrian amenities in this regional park, specifically at Bonsall, will help shape the future character of North County, both economically and recreationally. It would be unfortunate for this area to be developed without consideration of the horses and riders' needs, and to have it someday be referred to as a used-to-be equestrian area. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
It's truth. This year, Tara gave a proclamation and $20,000 to the Walter Monk Foundation, even though Walter was a adjacent society member who aided the nuclear bomb experiments at Bikini Atoll and Inuwatak Atoll, literally honoring someone who helped bring environmental destruction and murder. Next, on April 1st, who was it that suspected that Zora Fahim and SEIU's Michael Stewart were connected? Was Carl Smith mad that DS was getting exposed? For public knowledge, a secret memo written by County Chief Veterinarian Kathy Hamilton can be acquired at pra.sandiegocounty.gov/request/24-180. From there, download the document entitled Debbie Barkley. Read it, Jim. Quote, Deborah has spent millions of dollars on these horses, and look at the condition she's keeping them in. I repeatedly stated that I have nothing else to offer and eventually blocked Deborah's number, end quote. What kind of county veterinarian blocks the number of an animal abuse case? This is the type of miscare that DAS has been providing for 2 years, and it has resulted in at least 3 dead horses. There's a reason that DAS has a high turnover rate. The last 2 directors had 0 experience in animal care, just like Andrew Strong, and the new director, Vaughn, just left his own scandals in Stanislaus. Jim, why do you have blind trust in DAS when they have proven time and again to lie to the public, lie to you, and continue to have animals die under their watch? This is no different than Sandag, where the delusional board members blindly believed the 125 toll fiasco was being solved when it was actually getting worse. Blindly parroting DAS lies without self-research is rumor, not fact, and a dereliction of duty. Traits missing: discernment, vigilance, transparency, honesty, courage, research, preempted policies to prevent misconduct, mutual accountability, and integrity. This board is devoid of those necessary traits. That's why yesterday's denial of an audit is no surprise. And Luchadora Nora, for your voice, I recommend milk and ice cream. That's my vocal secret for this meeting.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Donna Hine. Good morning, Supervisors. I speak on behalf of the San Diego equestrian community and horses in Bonsall Community Park. We have supplied you with a timeline on the Bonsall Community Park and meetings that the equestrians have attended with the goals to have an equestrian staging area added to the plans for the Bonsall Community Park. We have been working with DPR since 2005, and the request remains the same. We need equestrian staging along the San Luis Rey River Park with access to the historical river trail. This trail was made by equestrians and maintained by equestrians for decades. It is used daily by equestrians. Why do we need a staging area now? As more houses are built, we lose trail access, not just here, but across the the county. We are fenced out of our trails. Central, middle location, because this is an 18-mile trail out and back. Our hope is that you can find a place for us in the Bonsall Community Park or a central location along the historical river trail where we can park our rigs, use the restroom, water our horses. If funds allowed, a few corrals, a round pen, and an arena would serve the community well, as Bonsall School District wants to extend their involvement with equestrian activities, integrating into their curriculum. We look forward to working with the Department of Park and Rec to be included in the plan for the Bonsall Community Park. When you fund a staging area, you are funding something that can be used multi-generational. We have riders as young as 2 and as old as 92. This active sports, we do not outgrow, and it is more than a sport, it is a life.
Thank you. Your time is up. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning.
Thank you.
Chair,
Yes, sir.
Can I just make a quick comment? A couple of the callers here were mentioning the Bonsall Community Park, and we know we've already met with the park staff, but appreciate staff's working with the equestrian community there in Bonsall and potentially looking for a spot near the park or something like that for a staging area. It's a perfect place where people go to ride horses, and we're going to have a multi-use trail, so it'd be nice if we had a staging area there as well. Thank you.
All right, so then we're going to go ahead and proceed to closed session. We'll return after the end of the session if County Council has a report. All right, thank you.
The board will now recess into closed session to continue consideration of those matters listed under item 33 on yesterday's agenda. And again, if there are any reportable actions, they will be reported out after the conclusion of closed session today.